This year, when you have asked me to list my favorite monsoon treks, I was in a bit of a fix. I was in a fix because I had to leave out all the Kashmir treks. And a couple of them are in my favorite. And as you know, the Kashmir situation is not very good in our country and trekking is off. So I have made a list of some of my favorite treks, monsoon treks from the rest of the country. And I'm going to disappoint a few people because they are going to expect to hear some familiar names and they will not find it. But I believe if people do these monsoon treks, then they are the best in our country. So the first trek that I want people to do is the Pin Bhaba Pass. Now, Pin Bhaba Pass, even if it is not a monsoon trek, will be in my top 3 treks in our country to do. It is that good a trek. I have not seen a crossover trek as spectacular as the Pin Bhaba Pass anywhere in our country. And when I talk about a crossover trek, what I mean is that you're going from one region of the country to another, which has totally different scenery on one side and an absolutely different scenery on the other side. And both these startling changes of sceneries that we have on the Kinnaur side of Himachal Pradesh and the Spiti side of Himachal Pradesh is something which has even now boggled my imagination. How is it possible that I see a totally green side on one side and a total brown and pink side on the other? I have not seen a spectacular scenery change like this ever in my life. It is basically what I believe is 5 good treks packed into one trek. And especially with the Kashmir treks being off this year, if any trek can come close to the Kashmir treks that we have, it is the Pin Bhaba Pass. So that's one of the treks I would want anyone to do in the monsoons. The next trek that I would want anyone to do is the Miyar Valley. Now this Miyar Valley trek is not an easy trek to do, not in terms of difficulty, in terms of getting a registration for this trek. That's because we have only very few groups on this trail. And so anyone who's thinking of doing a trek in the Lahore side of our country, which is on the rain shadow area of the Pir Panjal, the ranges, then Miyar Valley is the trek. Again, it has the spectacular sceneries of this wide open valley, endless valley, but the valley is not one valley. It curves and turns and meanders. So you're actually going from one section of the Miyar Valley to another, to a third, to a fourth, and each section is spectacularly beautiful with how the light falls on it and how it pans out. It is a visual delight on the Miyar Valley, and Miyar Valley is very easy on the legs. So anyone can do this trek. But the visual delight of trekking in the Lahore side of our country, rare region visited. Most people stick to, the Manali, the Kulu side of our country, but they don't go on the Lahore side. But these are the real, where you see the real culture, you see the real tribes, and you see the real, that raw beauty of the Lahore, the Lahore side of the Himalayas, unbelievably good. So that would be the next trek which I would want anyone to do. The third trek is not even in the Himalayas. Is the Pench Tiger Trail that we have. Everyone knows it's one of my favorite treks, and understandably so. I mean, trekking in the central Indian forest is a whole different experience from trekking in the Himalayas. People have not seen the beauty of the central Indian forests. You get such biodiversity that it is unheard of. I remember being in one section of the forest where I asked the forest guard, tell me how many species of trees are you seeing around you, just standing here. He pointed at 27 species in a 360 angle direction, and each of those species had medicinal value in this ecosystem. The the birds and the animals that you see on this trek is again unbelievable. And of course, I'm holding back on talking about the tigers because it is tiger territory. You're walking and trekking in the middle of the tiger territory. You never know when the tiger is actually watching you. You will see the tiger's presence in pug marks, feces, scratch marks. On this Pench Tiger Trail, I talked about the biodiversity. I talked about the presence of the omnipresence of wild animals and tigers especially. But there's another aspect of the trek which is so charming. It is a river walk that you do. And in the monsoons, when the river is, has got some depth and walking on it all the way, this thing, of course, you'll get in and get off the river in a couple of places. It's again such a charm that very, very, very few trekkers in our country would have walked the length of a river, not the breadth of a river, not crossing the river, but actually walking on it for almost 5 kilometers under the canopy of trees. It's again a visual delight, which trekkers will love it. So all these reasons make Pench a spectacular trek. So that's why it's number 3 in my list. Now number 4 in my list. Trekkers are not expecting this, but it is not a trek in our country at all. It is a trek in Georgia, the Atsunta Pass. The 4th in my list, which can be done only in this season. Of all the international treks that I have done, this is one trek that has stayed in my heart. And it has stayed so close to my heart that every year when a team goes, I have this urge to go with them. I have not seen an international trek which is so charming. Of course, the views are spectacular. The endless grasslands that you see, and these are the Caucasian grasslands that you see. These are not the Himalayan grasslands. These are utterly different kind of grasslands. The culture of the place, that ancient trails that we take through all these monuments that you see on the trail, the food on the trail, the people on the trail, and going to a new country, Tbilisi, the capital, which is so charming. I mean, that entire experience of going to a foreign country, trekking, and then doing this spectacular, mind-bogglingly beautiful trek is, I believe, has to be there in anyone's bucket list during the monsoon, July and August. And as I tell this, that it's a flower bouquet trek. I remember just waving my hand and clutching and getting a bouquet of flowers in my hand of different colors. White, blue, yellow, purples, and oranges right in my hand. And I remember giving it to Sandhya, my co-founder. That kind of a trek it is. So yeah, these are the 4 monsoon treks that I would want anyone in a country to do. No, I left out some of the obvious ones which people are expecting to hear, and there's a reason why I have left it out. Because these obvious ones have become overcrowded. And I'm not liking this overcrowdedness, this mad rush to do these treks. Frankly, they've lost the charm. But I'm not going to stop people from doing this trek. But if you really want to do some spectacular, great treks, then these are the 4 treks anyone must do in this monsoon.